Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. There was a lot of interest in this dish when I announced it on I'm trying to make my tripod straight. I am the tripod killer. Anyway, take two. Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. When I talked about this dinner on my menu plan, there was a whole lot of interest in it and questions about it. It is dill ranch pizza. So a few of you had asked me if I would do a cook with me on it, and I most certainly will. But you're gonna hear me saying, I'm doing it this way, but you can do it this way. And I'm doing it this way, but you can do it this way. Just because I'm using what I have and I do things a little bit different sometimes. First thing I need to do is I need to make some ranch dressing. So I went to get all the ingredients out, and you know I make my own mayonnaise. The jar was there was like a teaspoon of mayonnaise left. So I was getting the stuff out to make some mayonnaise, and back in the recesses of the refrigerator, I found this. And the best by date is like October 15th. So there's a little bit left in here. I'm gonna use it. I also needed some Greek yogurt, which luckily I had. I actually bought this to make yogurt, but I think this is like 3/4 of a cup. No, it's about a little over a half a cup. So I'll have enough to make yogurt and to make the dressing. And then I have my ranch powder that I make. Of course, you can absolutely use a packet of ranch, but I just make this because that way I can control what's in it. So the first thing we need to do is get this ranch dressing made. Oh, and buttermilk. And I have buttermilk in the freezer. It's a little bit chunky because I had it in the freezer from a few months ago when we had all that heavy cream gifted to us. So we made a crap ton, that's a mathematical term, crap ton, of butter. Well, when you make butter, you have buttermilk left. And you know I don't waste anything. I don't throw anything away. So I froze the buttermilk in half-cup increments to use in recipes like this. So I just thawed that out. There's a half a cup there. I decided I am going to have the buttermilk. I want a thicker, I don't want to make the dip. I want a dressing, but I want a thicker dressing because we have to spread it on the pizza. So you can see this is already starting out as a hot mess cook with me. I'm not using traditional dough. I'm going to use my sourdough because it's what's here and I have a ton of discard. So we'll talk about all that and we'll talk about substitutions later. But the first thing I need to do is I need to get this ranch going. So let's make that together. Okay, let's see if we can scrape out enough here. I'm not sure. Yeah, there's enough. I think there's enough. And you know what? If there's not, close enough. Whoops. Of course, when we go throwing it all over the counter like that, I knew it was going to be a hot mess when I started. I just knew it. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll just add a little bit more. Oh no, that's good. Good enough. Now we're going to add in some of our Greek yogurt, 1/4 cup. Perfect. I will have enough left to start my yogurt. Then we are going to add in 2 tablespoons. Well, you're supposed to add in 1 tablespoon. I always like to give it a stir because all the fine herbs tend to fall to the bottom. I'm going to add in like 1.5 tablespoons because I want it really ranchy. And then instead of the half a cup of buttermilk, I'm only going to do 1/4 cup because I don't want it super, super runny. Little bit on the thick side. I should probably get out my whisk. Okay, even with the 1/4 cup, it's still a little bit runny. But you don't have to worry about this if you just use it from a jar or a bottle or whatever. Okay. That's all there is to say about that. So I am going to put this in the fridge because it will thicken up a bit and the flavors will meld. Then it will be all ready when we need to come back for dinner. Now at this point, if you are going to make pizza dough, you need to get that started because it's going to have to rise. If you're going to make traditional pizza dough, you're going to need to get that started because it's going to need to rise. I'm not using traditional pizza dough. I'm just using my sourdough because it's easier. And I just really don't feel like making pizza dough today. And Doug really, really enjoys the sourdough crust. So that's what I'm going to use. And like I said, I have a lot of discard. So we're going to do that. But we don't need to do that until right before we make this pizza. So we're going to stick this in the fridge and then we'll be back at dinner time. Okay, friends, it is several hours later. The ranch dressing has had a time to sit and all the flavors had a chance to meld. So now we're going to get started on the actual pizza. Now I said this was going to be a bit of a, I'm doing this, but you can do this type thing. It is. So on the recipe that I have on the website, I just have the 2-ingredient dough for the dough. And that is what I used to point it out. I am not going to use that. I'm going to use my sourdough, like I said earlier. So I'm going to show you how I do my sourdough. You've seen hundreds of people, I'm sure, do the 2-ingredient dough before. Or if you just want to use a yeasted pizza dough, whatever you choose, you're just going to have to change your points. Other than that, I think everything is going to be the same. The recipe calls for slicing the garlic. I'm going to mince it just because that's what I like. So, like I said, this is going to be a bit of a hot mess, but what fun would it be if it wasn't, right? Okay, so what we need is your crust of choice. I'm going to show you how I do the sourdough crust. You need thinly sliced dill pickle, 1 cup. You need 4 ounces of shredded mozzarella. You need 2/3 a cup of ranch dressing, 2 cloves of garlic, and it calls for fresh dill weed. This is dill from my garden that I dried. I don't have any fresh, so this is pretty darn close. So that is all you need for this pizza. And oh, hot sauce is also optional to drizzle on the top. Not sure if we're going to do that or not yet. We'll see. But now my cast iron is preheated, so we're going to get that crust started. Okay, what I did was I preheated my oven to 400, and I put my 12-inch cast iron in there while it was preheating. I'm leaving the pot holder on here because, yeah, you know. So I'm going to take 1 cup of my sourdough starter. This can be discard. It does not have to be active bubbly starter. So this is a great way to use up some discard. I'm going to put it right in the pan, and it is going to start cooking right away. So working quickly, I'm just going to spread this out along the bottom. And I go up the side. Make like a nice wall. I know you can't see, I know I'm blocking. You can come over this side if you want, Doug. I'm going to keep turning. Keeping my cameraman on his toes here. We like a little bit of a thin crust, so I'm going to really spread it out. Okay, you see how that's already cooking? I'm going to throw this back in the oven for 8 minutes to let it par cook. Now, I do that with any pizza crust. I do not have that on the recipe, but I probably should because I like to par bake a pizza crust a lot of times. Okay, I'm playing with it too much now. I'm getting holes in it. Okay, we are going to patch that hole. And we are going to pop this back in the oven for 8 minutes. Then we're going to top it and bake it again. Okay, the crust has par baked. I've got 2/3 of a cup of ranch. This is going to be way too much. I'm not going to use all this. See, this is what happens when I don't try out a recipe. Trying not to touch the pan here.
But why?
Smart Alec. Somebody's being a smart Alec. Okay. So now we're going to take some garlic. We're just going to press that over the top as it's flying all over the place. I love this garlic press. Love it, love it, love it. Because you don't have to peel the garlic. Comes right out there. Isn't that pretty cool? I got this like a mazillion years ago from Pampered Chef. Okay, I'm just going to kind of spread that garlic around and in. Okay, now we are going to take our 4 ounces of mozzarella cheese. 4 ounces is probably going to be too much. Go ahead, say it.
Never too much cheese.
Actually, no, it's not. It's perfect. And then we're going to take our pickles. And I think this might be too many pickles. I'm not going to lie, I'm having my doubts. That pizza that we had, the dilly pizza that we had at the restaurant was so good, and I just don't think this is going to compare. But if you're seeing this, it must have been pretty good. Yeah, okay. 1 cup of pickles. Way too many pickles. So we're just going to call it about a 1/2 cup. Wouldn't be a JPP cooking video if it wasn't a hot mess. Okay. There we go. That looks good. We're going to pop this baby back in the oven for about 12 minutes and see what happens. Now, if you're using a different kind of crust, you might have to adjust your times a little bit. But I don't know. It should be pretty good. Okay, there she is out of the oven. So I'm just going to take some dill and just sprinkle it around the top. Like I said, you really should use fresh dill, but I don't have it. So we're just going to use the next best thing. Dried from the garden. I don't want to do too much. So there we have it. There is our dill pickle pizza. I am going, now this will lift right out of here with a spatula. Well, I don't want to keep breaking it, but it'll lift right out with a spatula. I'm just going to put it on a board to cool a little bit, and then we'll cut it up and we'll give it a taste test. I just want to show you, if you have a well-seasoned cast iron skillet, how easily this comes out. Boom, 1 piece. So we're just going to let that sit for a minute until the cheese settles, and then we're going to dig in. Well, we ate it for dinner, and we're here to give our opinion. You want to go first?
Thumbs up.
It was good.
It was good. It was.
It wasn't as good as the restaurant where we had it. I think there's just had a little bit more flavor. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that they used 4 different kinds of cheeses, and I used 1. So I may play with it a little bit, but I'll tell you, I would make it again.
Yeah.
Doug did not like a couple little drops of hot sauce on it.
It didn't do anything for me.
I liked it. Me. I know, right?
Yeah.
Me, of all people, because you know I'm a spice wimp, but I just had a little bit. I used the Frank's Red Hot, and I like that. So I think it was really good, and I will definitely put it in my pizza repertoire again. And I sent a picture to the boys. Andrew sent back the green vomity emoji, and Adam's like, oh my gosh, that looks awesome. So I have a feeling that someday next week I'll be making it for Adam while he's home.
Yeah,
we'll
probably.
see. But so yeah, thumbs up. It's something a little bit different. You saw how easy it was to make, and no matter what kind of crust you make, it'll still be that easy. So that's it. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your time watching me make our dinner for tonight, and definitely pair it with a nice salad and you have a great meal there. So, oh, as far as points, because I used, you know, like the sourdough crust and all, if you go down in the description box below and click on the link to the WW website, it will give you your personal points using the 2-ingredient dough pizza. From there, you can just change up whatever you want to change up. So that's it. It was a fun cook with me. It was just a fun little dinner on a Friday night. So hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you in my next video.